Trade a world of markets with the guaranteed edge of limited risk. hate5six binary options.
What's up? What's up?
Trade a world of markets with the binary options. Binary options.
What's up? What's up?
Trade a world of markets. Trade a world of markets.
What's up, everyone? If you're just tuning in, I'm about to start working on profile from Sound and Fury. So we're down to the last. We're down to the last couple sets from Sound and Fury. We have profile, West Point Harness, and Zabalba. So I finished the first pass of More to Pride yesterday, so that should be up soon. So right now, we're gonna go through working on profile. Who we got here? We got Chris, Bradley, Head First. What's up? Thanks, Head First. I appreciate that. So yeah, so the couple things. I got a video coming out probably around 1 or 2 p.m. It's I'll tell you guys because you're watching. I'm posting the turnstile video from the second to last night of the recent tour with Touche Amore and Culture Abuse. So that'll be up. Just a quick couple of plugs while I'm on here. So one of the changes that I've made recently since kicking off the Patreon is basically how it works is viewers control when videos get released. So I have this sort of motto right now is that I don't control hate5six, you the viewers do. So basically how it works is if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can go to hate5six.com/vote, which is this page. And this shows you a list of all the videos that are either edited and ready to be released, or videos that I've filmed and are not yet edited. So basically, everything here is stuff that's waiting to be released. So if it's green, it means it's been edited and it's sort of on hold. If it's red, it means it's not edited yet. If it's yellow, it means I can't post it yet for reasons that are beyond my control. So Chris is asking for some more Vane sets, and I do have 2 Vane videos, one from February and one from last December, but unfortunately the band is telling me not to post them yet, so I'm hoping soon I'll be allowed to release them, but as of right now, those are on hold. But anyway, so how it works is if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can go to this page and you can enter in your email address and enter in your password that you'll be assigned, and you can pick for what videos you want to see the most. So as you can see, for example, Another Breath played a reunion show last Friday in Syracuse, which I went up to film. They have currently 4 votes. This 25 to Life has 1 vote. Turnstile has 11 votes. So as you can see, it's a democratic process. So Patreon subscribers are in control of voting up the videos they want to see. And so basically every day, the videos that have the most votes are the ones that are going to get posted. And that's generally how it works. I do override it sometimes, so I'm trying to get all of the Sound and Fury stuff out before the 1st or 2nd week of June. So there's stuff that I'm going to, by default, override. But for the most part, video releases are controlled by you, the viewers. So so today, Turnstile has the most votes, so that's going to go up, again, probably around like 1 or 2 p.m. So we'll see. But yeah, that's sort of where hate5six is right now. It's moving in this direction of being in control by you, the viewers. And so the other thing that I'm doing that I posted the other day was I posted this heat map. And so this shows you geographically where all of the support on Patreon is coming from. So obviously there's a lot. I'm based in Philadelphia on the East Coast, so I do get a lot of financial support from people in my area. But this shows you roughly like where a lot of the support centers. There's a lot of people supporting from Chicago. There's some stuff in Southern California, which is cool. Worldwide, there is there's support in Europe, in Germany, a little bit in France, some in the UK. A couple people in Australia, basically no one in Indonesia, which I pointed this out on Instagram yesterday. Everyone in Indonesia wants me to come there to film, but I have 0 donations from there. And I get it, like, not everyone can afford donating money, and that's fine. I just thought it was an interesting contrast to see how much vocal support I get, but where the donations are actually coming from. So that's sort of, and so yeah, so what the point of this is to show you geographically where, well, for me, it's good to know where the support's coming from, but for you, the viewer, I think this is useful because I'm at right now at about, as you can see at the bottom, I have about 681 Patreon subscribers. Once I hit 1,000, my plan is to start touring and going to traveling to places all over the world to film bands and film scenes that don't play Philadelphia and film stuff that might not necessarily ever cross paths with me. So I'm trying to take by doing hate5six full time, I'm trying to take it global in the sense of making an effort to film bands and film scenes that don't get the coverage that they normally would get. And in order to make that decision about where to travel, I'm using this heat map to figure out, okay, where's the most support coming from. And so how it's going to work is, if Switzerland really wants me to come out to film bands in Switzerland, then they sort of need to step up and collectively donate. And basically, I'm going to use this map to figure out, okay, this part of the world has a lot of backers on Patreon, so I'm more inclined to travel there to film bands there. And again, everyone doesn't need to donate $100. It's like if everyone gave $2 or even $1 across a lot of people, that will add up, and that's going to create more incentive for me to come out and film those scenes. So anyway, that's sort of where I'm at. I'm trying to make the process as transparent as possible. So now you can actually see the vote counts for bands. So now you actually know, relatively speaking, how many votes a band needs to get in order for their video to come up sooner than later, as well as seeing where the support is coming from. So if you're seeing a lack of support from your part of the world, I hope you'll encourage your friends to donate to hate5six. And again, like, hate5six is a platform for you. I'm trying to do this full time so that I can continue giving you the high quality videos of bands that you really like, and continue building sort of the apps and resources to help you find new music in meaningful ways. So yeah, I'm trying to not work for a company anymore. I'm trying to work for you, the viewers, and sort of build out hate5six to a bigger platform than we've ever imagined. And I've been calling it a bullhorn because that's essentially what it is. I mean, hate5six is a community-controlled bullhorn, in the sense that there's tens of thousands, if not more, of people who watch hate5six videos every day. And so there's an opportunity here for bands of any size to get massive global exposure. And that's the thing. I will film bands that are playing massive fests, and I also film bands that are playing small basement shows. So I'm willing to film any band that wants to be filmed. And the benefit here is that bands have the opportunity to be viewed by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people worldwide. So I think that hate5six is a wonderful resource to allow people and bands to connect on a global scale. And I really want to see this grow. So if you're already a Patreon subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you're not yet, I hope you'll really consider it, and I hope you'll tell your friends to sign up too. Because again, the bigger this grows, the more bands that we can sort of document and build up this community of underground music. So anyway, that's sort of where that's my whole spiel for the where I'm at in terms of the Patreon and pushing sort of these resources that I'm building. But anyway, I want to get... Oh, and the other thing I wanted to point out was if you're a Patreon subscriber, you'll also get access to this Discord server. So there's currently a private Discord server that's only available to Patreon subscribers. And basically there's a chat room for general banter where you can just talk talk random shit. There's a channel that I use to post brand new hate5six videos. You can post non-hate5six videos here, and anything that's interesting you can post here. There's a channel for people to promote new bands, so if you're looking for new music, you can come here. A channel to post upcoming records for established bands, so it's just a good way of keeping on top of things. There's a channel for physical media, a channel for tech talk where you can talk about basically anything. A place where I'm talking about upcoming features to hate5six, a place to promote upcoming shows. So, people are promoting Back to School Jam at the end of the summer, First Blood and Walls of Jericho next month, a politics channel because you kind of need that, a place to post memes, obviously. One of the things I do want to push is there's a band recommendation channel. So you can go on here and you can ask. Right now there's about 20 people online. There's a total of, as of right now, about 108 people or 120 people who are on the Discord server. And so you can go on here and you can ask someone like, hey, can you recommend a band that I might like? I listen to X, Y, and Z. The other thing that you can do that I wanted to promote here real quick is that you can actually interact with the hate5six Sage recommendation bot. So in the middle of the chat, you can say, hey, I like Turnstile. And Sage will respond to you in the chat and say, hey, you should check out Angel Dust and Expire, Rotting Out, Trapped Under Ice, Cold World, True Love, Cruel Hand, No Warning, Backtrack, World Be Free. And Sage is a little bit more powerful than that. You can actually say, I like, let's say I like Nails, but I don't like, you don't like Minor Threat. So let's say you like heavier, aggressive music, but you don't like more of the punk influence. So you can say, I like Minor Threat, but I don't like, or I like Nails, but I hate Minor Threat. It'll recommend Sloth Herder, Cheapang, Blurring, Cognizant, Amnesian, Lesser Life Pigment. I don't know any of these bands, so maybe this is right, maybe this is wrong, but according to Sage, this is what you should check out. So as you can see, like, people are actually using it. So someone, and it's not just hardcore and punk bands. Sage knows about 200,000 bands and growing. So as you can see, someone right now live is asking, like, they like Funkadelic, and Sage is recommending them Sly and the Family Stone, James Brown, Betty Davis, George Clinton, Parliament, everything. So I highly recommend, well, if this is appealing to you, you should definitely sign up for Patreon. You'll get access to the Discord server, and you can interact with all these channels. If you're not on Patreon, you can still use Sage. So Sage is still available at hate5six.com/Sage. And here, again, you have the same, it's the same resource. It's just a different interface. So again, you can say, I like Nails, but I don't like Minor Threat. And Sage will respond to you, again, with the same recommendations, Sloth Herder, Cheapang, Blurring, things like that. And interestingly enough, you can actually click on these thumbnails, and it'll pull up videos or music of that band, so you can actually check them out pretty quickly. So I highly recommend Sage. Again, Sage knows about 200,000 bands, and it's constantly growing. If you want to learn about how Sage works, there's a little blog post here on the Sage site. If you click on this link, Artificially Intelligent, it'll pull up this link that I wrote that goes through the details about how I built Sage and how it works. So there's a lot of cool, like, visualizations and things like that. So I highly recommend checking that out. So hate5six, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not familiar with hate5six.com, hate5six is more than just live videos. It's a resource for finding new music and connecting people to bands in organic ways. So I hope you'll check out all these tools. So there's a lot of cool tools like this. Similar, there's a different tool called Adjacency. And again, all of these tools are available up here. If you go down to the drop-down menu, Sage and Adjacency, you can basically type in a band name, and Adjacency will pull up a visual graph showing you bands that are in the neighborhood of similar bands. So Dead in the Dirt and Torch Runner are very similar to Nails, as is Weekend Nachos, so things like that. This is a way of visually representing what bands are related to other bands in a general neighborhood. So again, this is at hate5six.com/adjacency. If you go down to tools, you'll see it here. You also see Sage, you also see voting. So anyway, go to hate5six.com. All these tools are here. Use it, sign up for the Patreon, get access to the Discord server, get access to the voting, so you can actually nominate what videos you want to see next, and that's that. So yeah. So I'm about to start working on profile. So again, we're down to the last couple sets. Again, I am working on, I did not film the Sound and Fury videos. These were all filmed by Chris Avis, who ran Cavis Tapes. He was a friend of mine who tragically passed away in a car accident last July, and so he left behind all of his Sound and Fury stuff. So I've been finishing it for him. So we're down to the last couple. Pretty much Chris had between 4 to 5 camera angles running for every band. So for profile, he had a stage right, he had a back of the room tripod, he had a balcony shot, and Chris himself was filming on stage left. Some bands had a drum camera, but for some reason there was no drum cam for profile, so this is a 4-camera edit. I've already gone through and synced all the audio and video, so that's what you see here. All the audio and video is adjusted over, so everything's timed correctly, and so I've dropped that into a separate timeline here in Premiere Pro, and I'm basically going to start editing. I'm going to enable the multicam, pull it up, and we're going to go. So Jackson is asking if there's a way to add Sage to his Discord server. That's a good question. Possibly. Let me get back to you on that. Yeah, let's take that offline. Hit me up. Let's talk about that. We might be able to figure a way of doing that. So cool. Yeah, how this works is this is a multicam edit, obviously. So what I'm going to do is as the video is playing, I'll just show you real quick. So as the video is playing, all 4 camera angles are playing simultaneously. So I'm going to sit here and literally watch 4 camera angles and cut between them in real time. And so generally with these multicam edits, step 1 is to sit through and watch them and make these cuts. And then step 2 is to go through and fine tune it a little bit more. And typically I don't do that on a live stream. I will sit through on YouTube Live and just do this first pass. Mostly because the fine tuning is, it's very monotonous and very grueling, and I don't really think anyone really wants to watch that. So that's kind of where we're at. The format is I'm going to sit here and edit this. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the chat, and I'll intermittently stop the editing and answer you guys. But for the most part, I'm going to sit here and edit and let you guys watch. And yeah, so let's do this. Again, this is Profile from Sound and Fury.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for being here. Please scoot in. Scoot in, move up, move up. We're Profile from San Francisco. Real quick, the songs that I write for this band are about growing. It's about honesty. It's about vulnerability. And it's about loving yourself and being your truest self. And figuring that out could take your whole fucking life. It could take up until the day you fucking die. But there's always more you can learn about yourself, and there's always more room for you to love yourself, and it's very difficult, and it's a constant process, but this is what that band is about. All right, we're gonna get right into it. Thank you for being here. Let me begin to explain. I'm pursuit of it, day by day, just believing when I say music always left the way. I'm getting it all that I got. I know who I am, I know who I'm not. What I learned, but it's something so special like that. Learn to speak up and hold myself down. I'm feeling so real. I can express my true self and my friends know the deal. Take me without a road. death, and who I am here to back you up. Take away my choice, you can keep me quiet. You take away my voice, I must respond with violence. Ooh. Let me speak for myself. Only I know exactly what I felt. Let me fight for myself. I know what's right. It's my fight. Let me speak for myself. Only I know exactly what I felt. Let me fight for myself. I know what's right. It's my fight. Don't expect me to hold back any longer. That's what I'm talking about. This next one is called Dark Spark. It's real groovy. Get into it, dance around.
Cool, we're about halfway through. This is actually going a little bit more smoothly than I expected. This band is very tight, so it makes editing very easy when there's a lot of energy, and the four angles that we're filming actually capture everything pretty nicely, so it's making the edit pretty. It feels natural. I'm not feeling like I need to backtrack and redo any edits. So it's good. I feel like the cuts that I'm making are going to shots that I actually want. So that's cool. What's up, Scott? Thanks for tuning in. Asia Quarrel, good morning to you, my friend. But yeah, so Brad pointed out there's a lot of supporters in northern UK. So I would like to come back to the UK, hopefully sooner than later. I've only been there twice, and that's both times with Mindset. And so I'd like to, three times, twice with Mindset, and then, once with Mindset, and then once for the CTW Fest back in December. So yeah, I definitely want to come out. I don't know if I can make it to Outbreak. I guess that's like next week, so obviously not, but maybe next year I'll get there. And that's the thing, like, if the Patreon gets to the point where there's sufficient backing, then I'm literally going to be able to travel to fests and shows all over the place and just film everything, and I won't have to worry about how am I going to get there. So hopefully this time next year, the Patreon will be, it'll be in a much different place, and I'll be able to actually to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's where we are. We're again at the 6-minute 44-second mark, so roughly halfway. Let's keep going.
Toxic options. This is gonna be our last song. It's the title track off our 7-inch on React. Shout out to all the ladies in the house. Shout out to all the queer people in the house. Move up. This song is about loving yourself. Don't be afraid to. Give me everything you got. For profile. Give me everything you got.
All right, so that's it for the first pass. So I felt pretty good about this edit. I think the second pass is gonna be pretty quick. Again, the second pass is me. I'm gonna sit here later tonight or maybe tomorrow and just fine tune all the cuts, make sure they're all cut on time, and I'm not cutting too quickly between two angles. So I'm gonna do that later, but that was pretty quick. So I'm actually gonna move on to another set. So let's work on So we got a couple left, West Point, Harness, and Zabalba. I'm going to do West Point. That's sort of what Sound and Fury wants to see next. So I'm going to pull that one up. But looks like we got 8 people still watching. I don't know who's still in here, but hopefully you're enjoying this. I never know how interesting these live chats are. Some people say they're informative, which is cool. For me, it's like I kind of just want to demystify the process and show what goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Cool. So what I'm going to do is, so one of the issues with the Sound and Fury stuff is that two of the camera angles were shot at 60 frames a second. So if you're not familiar, if you've never filmed anything and you don't know about frame rate, basically frame rate is so basically video is a sequence of still images that are stitched together. That's one way of thinking about what a video is. So frame rate is the number of individual frames the camera captures per second. And so there's some standard frame rates. You have 60 frames a second, which is so basically every second the camera is recording 60 consecutive frames of images, and it's stitching them together. Another common one you'll see is 24 frames a second. And so 60 frames per second video is very smooth. It's a very smooth looking video. If you have ever watched like a soap opera on TV, that's typically shot with I think 60 frames, and so that's what gives it like the very fake looking, smooth looking feel is the frame rate. Whereas if you're at a movie theater and you're watching a movie, that's the projector is shooting 24 frames a second. So films are typically shot, and well, they're sometimes shot at different frame rates, but they're put to film at 24 frames a second. So it gives you more of the grittier, jarring feel. That's what 24 frames. That's like a very non-technical description, but that's what 24 frames looks like. And so the issue is that 2 of the cameras for Sound and Fury were filmed at 60 frames, and the other 3 were shot at 24. So I'll show you what that looks like. So, for example, if we pull up one of Chris was shooting at 24 frames. So, if you look closely, you'll see the difference. So there's a certain aesthetic to what 24 frames looks like, and I like 24 frames. I always shoot at 24. Some of the early hate5six stuff was shot at 30 frames a second because that's all my camera supported. It was either 30 or 60, and I really wanted to stick to 30. So as you can see, this has a very distinct feel. Whereas if we take one of the the drum cam, so the drum cam was natively shot at 64. So let me get a shot of him playing. If you look closely, it's much more fluid. I don't know if it's actually showing up on the live stream, but that's just because the camera's capturing more frames, so it's capturing more motion. So 60 frames does shooting at higher frame rates is good if you're trying to slow down the video. So you can shoot at 100 if your camera supports it. You can shoot at 24 frames a second and drop that into a 24 frame timeline and actually slow down the video without losing much detail, because every second the 120 frames are being recorded, and you can slow down the footage and you're not going to lose information because all the images are there. You're just sub-selecting from that. So that is one way of doing slow motion, is by shooting at a higher frame rate and then dropping into a shorter sequence. So one of the issues is like you're gonna have problems syncing, mixing footage that's shot at 24 and mixing footage that's shot at 60 because there's different frame rates. So I was getting some sync issues combining the footage, and then I realized what I needed to do was I needed to export all the stuff that was shot at 60 frames a second. I had to export it as 24 frames, and then re-import that, and then sync that to all the other stuff. So it's been a long process. So last night I exported a bunch of stuff from the remaining Sound and Fury stuff. I exported it as 24 frames so that this morning I can drop them into the sequence and actually run the sync. So you'll see how this works now. So basically, let me pull this up real quick. Whoops. I've already done... I thought I did. Here. So this is my basically export folder of everything that I've exported recently. Sort by date. West Point. So these are all the West Point clips here. So if I go back up into the Sound and Fury directory, I'm going to move the West Point stuff here. Again, these are the 60 FPS angles that I conform to 24 frames. And so I'm going to just create new folders for them. So the 3 drum clips are going to go in drum 24. I'm calling it Robert because Robert was the one operating the stage right camera, so I'm dropping Robert's in. And then I'm basically going to import these back into Premiere. Minimize that. And so now what we'll do is we're gonna drop in all of the angles. So what I'm showing you now is the actual process of from syncing through editing. So basically step 1 is to drop in all of these camera angles. So stage left was Chris's camera. Front of house was Jonathan. No, front of house was, no, let's do this. This was Jonathan's camera from the balcony. This is the front of house angle. And we'll drop in Robert's, which is stage right. And then we'll drop the drum camera, which was the GoPro. So that's all in here. What Chris did, Chris recorded 2 audio sources. So he had an ambient mic, so we're going to drop that in here. And then he had a stereo soundboard feed, so we'll drop that in here as well. So there's that. Whoops. We don't actually need that. So step 1 is, so we have all the clips in here. And so basically, because 4 different people were operating the cameras, everyone started recording at slightly different times. And the other issue is that some of the, if you look closely, there's like gaps here. So some of these clips will start and stop, and that could be because a battery died or someone changed a memory card or what have you. So there's different things that can happen during the recording of a live set that can affect, they can affect how the syncing goes. So basically, you could sit here and sync all the camera angles by hand, and that's going to be, as you have more and more camera angles, that's going to be a pain in the ass. If you have 1 or 2 angles, that's fine. You can do that by hand. That's not an issue. But with something like 4 and 5, it just becomes way too tedious. So here I have 5 angles and 2 separate audio sources. So I have 7 different assets that need to be synced. And so what I like to do is I use a plugin called Pluralize, and Pluralize will automatically sync everything. So this will take a minute, but this will do the trick. What's up, Brad? Thank you for signing up on Patreon. I've seen you in the live stream a couple times, so I'm glad I was able to convince you for signing up on Patreon. I hope you'll enjoy the benefits. So some of the benefits you get from being a Patreon subscriber, again, you get access to this voting page, depending on the tier, but I think it's the $5. Yeah, the $5 tier will give you voting privileges, so you actually have a say in what videos come out next. So there's that. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you can also use these. I'll show you one of these cool tools that I built. So if you go on here, if you're watching a video, there's these two tools at the bottom, hate5 clip and hate5 gif. So if you click on either of them, they'll bring up this web app that basically allows you to create an animated gif of any portion of any video on the site. So basically, so for this Touche Amore video, we can create an animated gif if we wanted to. maybe like let's say at the 2-minute mark, there's a funny thing that happens. There's someone who stage dives, or there's a funny sing along, or it's a clip of you in the crowd at the 2-minute mark, and it lasts 10 seconds. You can actually, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can use this web app to submit this request. And what's going to happen is you click generate. The server is now processing your video, and it's going to email you the clip when it's ready. And so in a couple minutes, I'm going to get an email of an animated GIF starting at the 2-minute mark. That's 10 seconds long, and you can post that on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want. And so this is just a fun way of allowing people to interact with videos. So there's that. Again, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you get access to this Discord server. This Discord server is a way for, oh yeah, so there's Brad Smith. Brad Smith has joined Discord. This is just a way of people, it's basically a private chat room for people to talk about all things. You can talk about life, you can talk about hate5six videos, you can promote new bands, talk about new records that are coming out. There's a place to talk about vinyl and shirts and tapes if you want to trade them. A place to promote upcoming shows. And so again, this is just like, I want this to be a community where people can come and hang out and talk about shit. So come in here and have fun. So yeah, so that's the Discord server. So one of the things so Pluralize is very accurate. It's very good at syncing multiple audio sources, but the more clips you have and the longer they are, the longer it takes to sync. So that's a downside, but that's just the nature of the beast. I'd rather be using this than sitting here and manually syncing a bunch of clips. Because I did that for years. And then in 2015, I bought Pluralize, and it has been such a huge time saver. I'm not getting paid for promoting them. Maybe they should fucking plug me or give me a little kickback for plugging them. But I'm promoting it just because I'm hoping, and I know for a fact, it will help other editors streamline their process. So I highly recommend using that. So we're at 44%. So this set was, how long was this set? This set is about 25 minutes. I actually got to run out to, I'm grabbing lunch with some friends in about 40 minutes. So I might only do the first song or two and then cut. But at the very least, I wanted to show you guys the full process. It's funny. Someone yesterday during the live stream, they were like, "Damn, this is really monotonous," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's how these videos are made. I'm sitting here and watching these like 4 or 5 camera angles and cut. I'm literally sitting here and cutting between them in real time, and that's how these videos are produced." So. If you never knew how videos are produced, this is how it's done. For better or for worse. So, yeah, like I said, I'm hoping that these live streams will sort of reveal to people the amount of work that goes into producing these videos for everyone. But don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. Like, I'd rather be doing this than sitting at a desk and working a job that I hate. So, I'm living my best life right now, and I cannot complain. So, oddly enough, the Patreon subscriber count has just died, and I don't know why. So, I'm going to try this again. This should work. So basically how it works, so I'm pretty new to OBS, but I really like it. So basically what I've done is I created a little page here that has a live counter. So this will refresh every minute. Every minute it refreshes my count. And so what I do is that within OBS, so this is gonna look kind of funky, but within OBS you can set a different sources. So what I'm trying to do is set a source to be this web page, So now it should be showing up. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, sometimes things come in and out, but I'm a big fan of OBS. If you're looking into doing live stream or doing any sort of screen capture, I recommend OBS. It's a great way of, you can set up different things. So there's these different sources, like I said, you can toggle them on and off. And so let's see, if I turn off, I don't know what that one does. YouTube count is obvious. Oh, let me update this. So there's a source here for agenda, which is basically in the bottom banner. You can see what I'm currently editing. So right now I'm working on West Point. So I'm going to update that, and that should automatically update on the feed. There you go. So this should be done by now. So I'll be honest, sometimes pluralize like cuts out. And I think I just lost. So I think the something is hanging. I'm not getting a response. So I don't know if you can still hear me. My computer's hanging. I'm gonna cut. That's the nature of the beast. Like I said, I gotta go to lunch in like a half hour anyway. So I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna come back after lunch and finish a couple more videos. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, I'll be back on like in an hour or so. And look for the turnstile video is gonna go up pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that. So have a good afternoon, and I'll talk to you guys soon.